Thank you for joining us today for our 2021 tennis preseason webinar. My name is John Skees and I'm the Director of Media for TAPS. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but first I've got a couple of housekeeping items that I want to go over with you. So first things first, it would help us out if we knew who we were talking to this morning. So if you could please indicate your classification on the poll that I am launching now, that would help us out. So while you're filling that in, I'll cover the rest of our housekeeping before we move on. So second, this webinar is being recorded. You're going to receive an email with a link to that recording as soon as it's ready. That should be later this afternoon. It's going to go to the same email address that you used to register for today's webinar. Third, if you have any questions, please use the questions interface on the GoToWebinar panel that you're going to see on the side of your screen. We're going to try to answer those as we go through the presentation. But if we don't get to yours right away, there is a general Q&A at the end. But if we don't get to your question, if we run out of time, or if it's just too specific for us to answer appropriately in this venue, please send us an email after the webinar at info@taps.biz or call us at the office. And with that, I'm going to close this poll. I'll leave it open for just a few more seconds, actually. I'm joined today by Brian Bunselmeyer, TAPS Executive Director, Robert Huckabee, TAPS Associate Director and Director of Compliance, Steve Prudhomme, TAPS Associate Director, and Will Dixon from the TAPS staff is helping us out behind the keyboard today. And with that, I will close the poll and hand it over to Brian.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us to talk about TAPS Tennis 2021. We got 2020 started last year. Weren't able to get the district or the state championships in due to COVID, but we're looking to rebound this year and come back strong. TAPS Tennis 2021. Again, thank you for joining us for today's webinar as we talk a little bit about the season and try to give you some insight as to what we're looking forward to as we go through the spring. Well, if we'll bounce on over to the TAPS website, www.taps.biz. Your place for all things TAPS. If you'll click on athletics up at the top and then click on spring sports tennis. So drop down, we're going to click on the big word tennis and it's going to take you to the tennis webpage. To help you navigate the rules and the links to everything at the top. So you have the link to the TAPS rules. Will, if you'll hover over rules, and then we are using the USTA rules. So if you'll click on that for me, USTA, friend at the court, that'll take you to that link if you haven't already got your PDF of it, or if you haven't ordered it, please go ahead and make sure you carry that in your bag so that you do have your friend of the court rules. Bounce back to our website, Will. The other things that are important up there are going to be honors. That's where we'll post the all-state, academic all-state winners. The districts, if you click on that, will go give you the links of the districts as they are presently. The tournaments, if you click on tournaments, it'll take you to both the district tournaments for 4A, 5A, 6A, and any invitational tournaments which we have received information on. So if you're hosting a regional, a district, or if you're hosting an invitational tournament, please make sure you email us at info@taps.biz with that information so we can get up there quickly. The championship information will be linked on the big red button shortly. On the right-hand side, you'll see the spring transfer deadline where it says that in green. That's the tennis blog. As we send out emails to tennis coaches and as we send out other information throughout the year, it will be posted there. The state qualifier table, that will be updated. We'll be sending out an email shortly to all districts and classification to determine potential participation. We know that with COVID, we may have fewer people playing tennis this year. We just want to kind of get your rough idea at the present time how many folks are going to be playing, and then we'll create that qualifiers table. How many are moving on from district to state, as we do not have a region in tennis. So without further ado, Will, let's bounce back to the presentation. And let's get back to the basics. We want to talk about student eligibility. One of the big points as we go forward on student eligibility is it applies to all interscholastic competitions. So if it's a dual or tri-meet or a quad, or if it's a tournament, whether it's district or state tournament, wherever it is, if you're playing between two schools or more, interscholastic competition, all TAPS eligibility rules apply. Those eligibility rules can be found in the TAPS bylaws, section 7784. Or if you have a very specific question, feel free to email us at info@taps.biz. The no pass, no play rules at your school do apply. They're based on the TAPS minimum standards and the policies your schools have created. So that applies to non-district. It applies to, again, duals, tries, or quads, and each tournament along the way. So we have in the past, unfortunately, had students that have participated in the district tournament, qualified for the state tournaments, and then found no pass, no play got in their way. So no pass, no play. Your school has the rules. Make sure they're applied consistently throughout the season. We do have some students that are not yet eligible for varsity play. Every year we have international students who may have to sit a year before they can play at the varsity level. And then we have transferring students who may have missed that January the 19th transfer deadline. They may have come in between now and then, and they're ineligible to play varsity for the first year they're at your school. That means they're not able to play varsity quads, duals, tri-meets. They're also not able to play at the varsity level of tournaments that you may enter your students into that are school sponsored. So again, we're talking interscholastic opportunities, not USTA juniors or other such events. The other question that we get quite often in the TAPS office is students not yet in high school. That means anybody from the 4th, 5th grade up, but Section 85 in the TAPS bylaws does cover that. So any student who's not yet in high school, they may be the best 4th grade tennis player, or they may be the best 7th grade tennis player you've ever seen. They may not participate in interscholastic competition with or against high school students, and that includes varsity or JV tournaments, again, duals, tries, quads, anything of that nature. The penalty is pretty severe. If they go and participate in the JV level or a varsity level, those tournaments that are interscholastically sponsored, they could lose a year of high school eligibility. If you knowingly enter them into those tournaments, you as a coach could also potentially lose a year of high school coaching eligibility. So students not yet in high school may practice with your high school players and teams all day long. We don't regulate that part of the practice. We do govern interscholastic competition. The student education, we do have the student test, which is in your coach's toolkit. We're doing away with that this year and going to the team score. Some of you have already reached out about it. We are finalizing the tennis team score. So in the next week to 10 days, that course will be eligible. It's much more than a test. It's going to have the education component. It'll be a video and the writing at the top of the screen, and then a quick question and answer below. So again, it's not just going to be a straight test. We're going to give a little education module. It might be a good thing for a rainy day or one of those days where you need a little virtual instruction, and that teams test must be concluded and the certificate received prior to the district tournament. Any earlier would be appreciated, but it must be done by all student participants prior to the district tournament. Robert, tell us a little bit about Rank 1.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. Rank 1 is our database, has been for 2 years now in TAPS. That is our resource for all information regarding our coaches and our student athletes. So if you are a coach, a tennis coach listening to this, and you are not in Rank 1, then please go to your AD and have them do that for you. If you are a coach, if you're a tennis coach, but you coach multiple other things at your school and those roles are listed, but tennis is not selected as one of your roles at the school, please make sure your AD corrects that for you. It is our database for all the information we send out. When we send updates or information on tennis, we send them specifically to the AD. The AD gets all communication, but we send them sport specific. So if you're not getting information, emails from our office, that'll ramp up as we move into tennis season and we have information coming out to you more frequently. Make sure you're on that list. Your contact information needs to be in there. Also, to be compliant, you need your coach acknowledgement of rules executed. That can be done online now in Rank 1 annually and successfully have completed the scope requirements that exist there in Rank 1. Similarly true for all of your students. They need to be in Rank 1. Those forms, the student acknowledgement of rules, physical forms, any other thing they need in Rank 1 as required needs to be completed. You will create a tennis roster for your boys and your girls, and as you pull those students, tennis players, over onto that roster, they will magically turn either green or red based on Rank 1 system. Red meaning there are some forms or information missing. Green meaning everything has been turned in and they are good to go. If you have issues or struggles with any of your students, I think they have everything, but they're showing red. Why is that happening? You can reach out to our office. Kelly and Rhonda in our office, very adept at rank 1 and helping you figure out and getting those things done. Remember, those students all need to be green and good to go before they are competing in TAPS competitions. Brian?
And that's going to include invitational tournaments, et cetera. Before they go out, wear your uniform, wear your colors, and have their name on your jersey or your shirt. They need to be green to go in rank 1. Coaches, if you did not get this email direct, or if you your athletic director or someone forwarded it to you, that means you may or may not be compliant in rank 1. So make sure you get with your athletic director or your athletic secretary if you have one. Make sure that you know how to make sure that your information is up to date, your coach acknowledgement of rules is complete, and as you get ready to do your tennis rosters and you get ready to take care of that aspect, make sure you reach out to through your athletic director, through your athletic assistant, however you need to. We will be here to help as well. Again, invitational tournaments, interscholastic tournaments, those are not just the Saturday, weekend, Sunday, USTA or other such tournaments. So interscholastic, invitational tournaments, all TAPS rules and eligibility apply. If it's sponsored by a school, it's interscholastic. Moving on down to the district and state championships, we're going to talk a little bit about student entries. Each school at the district level are allowed 2 girls singles, 2 girls doubles, 2 boys singles, and 2 boys doubles. So regardless of the size of your team, they can play in one or the other. The question has come up every year, can my girls singles then make a doubles? And the answer is no. You're either entering them into singles or you're entering them into doubles. One of the rules that was relaxed over the last couple of years, you may declare an alternate for your doubles. That may be 2 students, 1 for each doubles, or it may be the same student for both doubles, meaning if one doubles person gets sick, grades catch them or whatever, you've got an alternate to slide in. If 2 of them have a problem, then you're in a little bit more trouble than you went through. So our student entries this year will be through rank 1. And that information will be coming. We will have a student entry webinar as March and as the deadline gets here. You'll get more information on that, but we'll help walk you through how to do your student entries in rank 1. Please make sure if you are a 4, 5, or 6A and you are hosting the district tournament for your class, your district in your classification, that you have emailed us that district tournament information to info@taps.biz. And if you're the district president of that tournament, make sure you let Kelly know so that we can get our rank 1 data into the system and make sure everything is correct. Robert, tell us a little bit about the district tournaments, or we need to take a question or two as we go forward.
We have a question here about participation by junior high students. If we are practicing with another team, it's not a tournament, it's not a match, we're just practicing or scrimmaging, can junior high kids play to help make up sure we have enough to have matches?
Junior high students can practice with you all day long. If you're practicing against another school just to make sure you have the bodies out there to hit, yes, they may participate in practice, but you can't call it a duel, you can't call it a try, and you can't call it a tournament.
All right. Steve, you're going to pick up with district tournaments for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The district tournaments, we are setting up for the District 1, 2, and 3A North and South tournaments. TAPS will be putting those on. We will be in the South. We are going to go to the HEB tennis complex down in Kerrville. We tried to do it last year, we couldn't, but this year we're going to get down to Kerrville. We're going to have the South up here in the North. We are going to be working to get a site. We have a couple of sites that we're working on, but when that gets confirmed, that information will be shared with you. And again, these will be one-day tournaments. You will have a backside draw in the district. We will make sure that there is the entry deadlines will be coming to you, weather updates and information, all of that you get with any other tournament will be coming to us. And let me hand it to Robert real quick.
All right, thank you, Steve. We'll have another slide here in a minute that's got all that information. As we previewed where our district tournaments are going to be, we'll jump right quick into some of the rules you need to keep in mind. USTA, friend at the court. Those are our basic rules for tennis. And then, of course, we have our TAPS rules that apply to all of our TAPS matches, especially district and state tournaments. Those bylaws are found, the TAPS rules are found in sections 182 and 183. You can refer to those for any questions you have about TAP specific rules for our tournaments, especially the district and state tournaments. Just a few reminders. Frequently asked questions that we have. Dress code, appropriate clothing is required. See section 183. There is a long list there of things that are and are not appropriate in the world of tennis. Please follow that. Those will be monitored and enforced at the tournaments. Conduct on the court, obviously, that's always important with regard to sportsmanship and how our athletes conduct themselves. That can, in some instances, result in disqualification. Make sure you address that with your players. Brian?
I'm going to hit on dress code for just a minute. I've been coaching tennis for 35 years. I think the most controversial thing we have is dress code, and it generally does not apply to young men. It generally applies to young women. Each school is going to have their own standard of dress. That's true whether you have uniforms or not have uniforms, et cetera, for your own daily wear. So the rule of thumb on dress code is make sure it's appropriate for high school age young ladies. That's in particular what we look at or get the most complaints about. And make sure that it would comply with your school's dress codes if they were to wear it to school, et cetera. Again, there are all sorts of varying opportunities. I think that the new code is less is more when it comes to tennis outfits, especially the tennis dresses that we've seen over the last couple of years. Just make sure that as a coach that they're representing you in the way you want to be represented. Robert, tell us a little bit about what's going to happen with COVID this year.
All right. Thank you, Brian. COVID, obviously, protocols are in place for everyone, for us at the organizational level, and we know you're dealing with them daily at the school level. Here's some general protocols that have been in place for us at the TAPS level as we have hosted events in various facilities around the state this year. Obviously, you have to, and we do as well. If you are hosting one of your district tournaments, you're going to have to coordinate with that host facility what their COVID guidelines are. Make sure you stay within those, as well as the guidelines that we have for TAPS events. You'll follow all the TAPS general COVID protocols. Those are listed on our website, and you can access those. The most important one of which in today's world is that affirmation that occurs by the coach on behalf of all the coaches and all the participants on that particular day. That affirmation is a self-screening of all coaches and players that basically says, I am coming to this event. I do not have COVID. I do not have the COVID symptoms, nor have I had recent close contact with someone who does. That is an affirmation that we require at all of our championships and all of our events, and that needs to occur at any TAPS contest that is being held. Some other COVID protocols, that facility-specific rules. You'll obviously honor the host facility requirements and their COVID guidelines. Face mask, we've dealt a lot with face masks this year with regard to people's opinions about that. We are still in this pandemic. We are all fighting very vigorously to navigate this, to salvage seasons, to host championships. So please help us, please cooperate. Face mask being worn in the clubhouse and pro shop areas. If there's any kind of award, scoreboard, posting of scores or brackets, concession or food areas where people would congregate. Don't congregate any more than you need to, but certainly face masks. And then masks are required for everyone at our events other than players who are actively warming up or participating in the contest. You are allowed to wear a mask while you're participating if you choose to. That could be your own school protocol. You're certainly free to do that if you wish, but that is not a TAPS requirement.
We know that everybody's getting COVID weary. Everybody is getting mask weary. We continue. This is an outdoor sport. Why do I have to wear a mask? Well, the bottom line is we require it. So wear a mask unless they're on the court warming up or performing. All fans, all coaches need to have a mask on at all times. So masks are going to be required for TAPS at both the district and the state level this year. The metrics are still there. We're at Texas Motor Speedway with our office, and we're watching them vaccinate 1,000 people an hour, 10,000 people a day. And at that rate, DFW could be vaccinated by June. So I don't think everybody's going to have the vaccination prior to us getting to state, and the metrics are still high across across the state in many areas. So masks are required, the protocols, make sure you sanitize equipment, make sure you use hand sanitizer when you can. We're going to jump into TAPS districts, and as a reminder, the classifications 1, 2, and 3A TAPS host the districts. Steve was going over that earlier. And in 4, 5, and 6A, the districts themselves get together. So 4, 5, and 6A, you'll set your district tournament. The basic is you'll set the format for your tournament. The big deal on your format is going to be as follows. The district committee, that means the coach and or the AD at each of the schools, will determine the dates for entry, the dates for tournament, and weather dates. Always make sure you have a weather option. You don't want to get to the date of your tournament or to 2 dates of your tournament and then all of a sudden look up rain, thunderstorms, whatever. It's always easier to go earlier than it is to go later based on the condensed calendar. Make sure you figure out the location, who's hosting and where. The format, there's discussion always at the 4, 5, and 6A. Am I going to do a backside draw after we lose in the first round, or are we going to do a drop down, what that playback would look like? So please make sure all of your coaches are together, that your district determines that format. It's not just the host that determines the format, it's the district. The district host needs to be determined. That host will help to set the fees and gain the awards, but that should all be under the district executive committee's approach. So every coach and or the AD of that school should all get together to help determine that. If you haven't had your district meeting yet, great opportunity to have a Zoom call or work on having that district meeting. Seating is always controversial. It's been that way, I think, since tennis began. But seating needs to be done by a committee and or have a review process for your district level. And participation in dual or other competitions. We have some districts across the state that have a desire to have everybody participate in a dual or in a tri format with other schools to help establish so that all the number ones play the number ones, all the number twos play the number twos for seeding purposes. If you're going to do that, I would highly encourage you to have a double play at those dual situations where ones play twos and ones play ones so that you're getting a full gamut. You are not required under TAPS rules. If you say somebody is your number 1 player all the way through the preseason, you can change them to the number 1 or 2 slot or 2 doubles prior to district, and district rules cannot usurp that opportunity. So if your district is one that says you have to play them all, you might need to have a call with the TAPS office so that we can help walk you through that. So districts, make sure you get your seating process in place and make sure you have your pre-district meetings correct. If you are hosting one of the TAPS district tournaments for 4, 5, or 6A, please email that information to info@taps.biz, and then we will post that information on the TAPS website. So if you're a district host, or if you're the district president going to be certifying the district results, please make sure you email us at info@taps.biz. I'm going to hit back with what Steve said. On the 1, 2, and 3A, the big difference is TAPS does host those. They are one-day tournaments. We will be using the same format as previous years with a backside draw. So once you lose, you either fall to the bottom and you're playing for 8th, or you're falling to the backside playing for the consolation championship. That is true because the 1, 2, and 3A only have 2 districts, and we are moving the top 8 forward. So as you look at that, it's important for us to get all the way back through. District certification for all classifications is March the 27th. I know it's early, but it's always going to be early in TAPS when you look at the spring for TAPS and the availability of the courts for us. We base the district deadline based on when we can host states. So March 27th, all classifications. As you start looking at that, and weather may get in the way or other things may come up, we don't know what the COVID is going to bring for us this year. We just need to make sure we get as close to that date as possible. So going early is much preferred as opposed to going late. The 1, 2, and 3A state championships will be April 8th and 9th. We were able to once again secure our host facility, Waco Regional Tennis Center. We've been there several years now, and we have been for several years bringing all participants there. So that first day can get a little long, second day not quite as long. We will be using a bracket play format. We'll make our best opportunity to do 2 matches the first day and 2 matches, the semis and the finals, the second day. Weather or other concerns may require us to play 3 matches in a day. That decision will be made by the TAPS tennis director, Kevin Foster, and myself at the tournament. Seating in accordance with the TAPS bylaws. TAPS will make the seating. Kevin will also work through the seating information. It will be based on district results, and then seating information will follow back through there as it goes. So if you have not been to TAPS State, or if you've been to TAPS State and don't quite understand previous year, it is written in the TAPS bylaws. Highly encourage you to go back to look at tennis. It tells you the previous champion, previous year's results do count in the overall seeding for the state championships, and it's been that way for several years. 4, 5, and 6A, it's going to be April 6th and 7th again at the Waco Regional Tennis Center. So 6 and 7, 4, 5, 6A. 8 and 9 is going to be the 1, 2, and 3A. We're looking forward to that opportunity. On the www.taps.biz, click on athletics, click on tennis. We do have a big blue button on there that says qualifiers. We will have the qualifiers by district for state up there shortly. The website has had some difficulty. We had it up, it left, and we're still trying to get it back up. So that will be up there as soon as possible. So the qualifiers, we know you want to know how many are advancing and how far to play through. At your district levels, we always try to play 1 or 2 past what the actual automatic qualifiers are. In the event of pullout, that's going to be extremely important in these COVID years, meaning if you're going to send the top 4, you need to seed through 6. At the end of the day, you need to make sure those rankings are there. Robert, what do we have for questions so far? Anything, or
We have
ready to continue on?
No, we have one question about alternates. So the question is, are we allowed 1 alternate or 2?
You may have either one. You can have one person for each doubles team, which would give you 2 girls and 2 boys. Or if you're short on your team members, that alternate can be applied to both doubles groups. New this year, I'm going to let Steve talk a little bit about where tennis has been and where we're headed, and then we'll answer a few more questions if you have them, or we'll move on down the road. Thank you for joining us today. Steve, what's new this year?
Well, this year, the very first event we were able to host in TAPS was the Team Tennis Championship down there in Round Rock, and we thought it was a great success. We had a lot of fun. There was great teams there, and again, gave us a lot of ideas for the future as we grow this event of team tennis. So be looking for that next year. We'll be holding it in the fall. More information will come, but it was a unique experience and a little bit different than the spring tennis, and we were very pleased with that. Also, we're looking at some ideas for using for having a draw of mixed doubles, and we'll be asking you some information. We're trying to draw or find what the interest is in mixed doubles and what people's thoughts are. So again, we're continuing to grow tennis, looking at new ideas, looking at new ways to go. And again, we're so excited to be holding events this year. And again, that's because of the cooperation of the people of our membership. And again, we just have to keep on going. And guys, it's tough, but it's worth it to get the experience for the kids and for the schools.
So to the mixed doubles opportunity, it won't count towards the overall team championships this year. Make sure that you are in rank 1 as the tennis coach. You will be receiving a survey and an email here probably early next week after our swim championships to see if you would participate, how that would look. We would love to have that take off down the road. It may not for several years, but we do want to offer that opportunity for each of the 1, 2, and 3A tournament and the 4A, 5A, 6A. It would be 1 mixed doubles for each of those 2 tournaments. So we look forward to tennis moving forward. Check out that www.taps.biz, go to the athletics, go to that tennis page, keep following there. Make sure you're up to date in rank 1. Robert, any final questions before we bounce out, or are we good to go?
I think we're good to go. If you do have questions that you think of later, reach out to us here at the office, info@taps.biz, or you can call us at 254-947-9268.
If you've got questions or concerns, if we didn't cover what you feel like you needed today, email us at info@taps.biz or give us a call. As your district tournaments get closer, please feel free to reach out. We will definitely be working through any situation that you have and help give you guidance moving forward. It will be important once you see that survey. You'll get another survey here shortly that asks what your participation levels look like, whether you think you'll have girls, not have girls, will I have one, whether I have a full team, et cetera. So again, make sure you're in rank 1, make sure you're ready to rock and roll with everything. John, I'm going to turn it over to you for closing comments, as it doesn't look like we have any more questions to answer in this seminar.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks everybody in the office, and thank you folks for being with us here this morning. Like I said, if you've got any other questions, please let us know. Send us an email or call us at the office. I'd also like to plug our Twitter account for tennis. That's @TapsTennis. If you've got social media for your team or for your school or for your athletic department, give us a follow. We always love to see what our tennis teams are up to, and we retweet all the time, but there's not that many of you on there. So give us a follow at TapsBiz, that is on, or at Taps Tennis, that is on Twitter. We've also got a podcast. We did an episode on fall tennis a couple of months ago. That's Taps Talk. Look in any podcast app for us. We've got a couple of episodes there, but one of them specifically on fall tennis. And with that, I think we'll let you go, folks, for the rest of the day. Thank you for joining us today.